Good morning. So Lowman is a Dutch family business that has been moving people since 1923, 100 years of cars, dealership, and mobility. By 2018, it was selling more than at any point of its history. But behind the success, that's such a puzzle. The more it sold, the less it earned. Over the next 15 minutes, we will follow the data to understand why and what Lowman should do about this. Throughout, we tested the case against outside evidence from CBS, ACEA, ComScore, and Accenture. This is where the story begins. Revenue grew steadily from 1.39 billion euro in 2015 to 1.95 billion euro in 2018. By any sale measure, the company was thriving, but when we place the profit beside the revenues, the two lines move in opposite direction. Profit fell from 14.6 in 2015 to 5.6 in 2016, and then in 2017 it turned into a loss of 16.7 million euros. So rising sales, falling profits. That gap is the question that shaped our whole analysis. And with around two-thirds of the business automotive, is matter of the entire group. Working through the data, we found three reasons behind the gap, and they become the three part of our story. First, mobility at crisis. Um, Result, that's what losing money. Second, the core car business was earning less on every sales. Third, low man lack of the capability a modern mobility company now needs. And we examine each one in turn. It's worth saying that Lowman is a very strong company, a century-old family legacy, exclusive partnership with Toyota and Suzuki, as an integrated chain running from wholesale to showroom to service. But the same internal data also show the weakness, persistent losses in mobility act, and profit thinning even as sales grows, and a clear gap in digital capability, which we will measure later. And the market around Lowman was changing. Customers were moving from owning the car toward using mobility leasing, sharing, and subscription. New platforms such as Uber were entering the market, and the population was aging. The foundation of the traditional dealer models were shifting. With that picture in mind, Thảo Nguyên will begin the first part of the story. Welcome.
Okay, thank you, Win Win. So for this challenge one, our first question is how could profit disappear while sales keep growing? So here we can see that like two things happening at the same time. One division losing money and the car business is like slowly earning less on each sale. So let's investigate these two. Okay, so starting with Website first, the revenue has actually grown by almost 41%, but profit has fallen nearby zero. And in 2017, Website lost around like 33.2 million euro, while the group profit is just 16.5 million euros. So the loss were larger than the profit with a ratio of around 200%. But here we have a recovery signal because after restructuring in 2018, the loss fell 61% in just one single year. So this is support a gradual recovery. In the next analysis, we ask a very simple question. What would Lamen look like without Wellsat? So here we can see that like without the mobility ads, the group was profitable every year, like 30.8, 29, 16.5, and 12.5 million euros. The healthy business has been there all along behind just only one division. And in total, we can see that like Wellsat cost the group 85.9 of 85.9 euros over 4 years, close to 4 years of the car profit. But as I already said, we have a recovery signal, which is the 61% improvement points toward break even by around 2020. So our conclusion here is the losses are large, but the trends show that they are fixable. And what we need to do is to fix the division, not to sell it. Okay, so here we found a strong reason not to sell the division because the demographic of the Dutch population show us that the demand still there in the future. So here the Dutch population over 65 grew by 74% by 2041 from 2.7 to 4.7 million people, and the dependency ratio rise from 27 to 45%, and around 40% of people over 80 rely on mobility apps. So finally, why did the business become unprofitable in the first place? The cause was institutional. So in line with the North's work on how rule shapes the market, in 2015, the WMO reform moved healthcare budget to municipalities and wealth shift from stable national contract into fragmented local tender, where the buyer held the power and margins were squeezed. So the loss were driven by the policy, not by the management of the company, which is exactly the right response to how to review the business model, not to sell it. So next one, there will take the second part of the story, the cars business. Thanks, Nguyen. So now we move to challenge 2, automotive business model disruptions. So it would be easy to start at mobility as, but the core car business was not healthy as it looked like 80%, 85% here. When examining it on its own, we found that the growth is there, but it's declining and we was losing its strength. So the market was changing around it. The European and Dutch car markets were slowing and become more unpredictable. You can see here. And the customer was shifting from ownership toward to leasing and shared mobility, the fast growing channels, but also the lowest margin one. Increasingly, the value was moving away from simply selling cars. So on the chart, you can see very clearly the growth figure show is clearly revenue rose from 567 million euros up to 40.9% over 4 years, about 12.1% per year. That looks healthy until you look at the growth rate year by year. It falls sharply from 19.7% in 2016 to 4.6% in 2018. A loss of more than three-quarters of its momentum. Growth was slowing every year. So, to compare fairly, we set both sales and profit to a common starting point of 100% in 2015. Sales growth to 140, but the car business own profit fell to 40, and group profit dropped to minus 115 in 2017. And when we isolate the car business, with Wellyork removed entirely, its profit declines every single year from 30.8 to 12.5. This is a key point. Even a full recovery at Wellyork would not have been enough because the core itself was weakening. The cost is what Christensen described as disruptions. Diesel shares fell from 44 to 36%, electric grew 53%, and new platforms like Uber, Green Wheels, and Smart Car were reshaping the market. Value was moving from showroom to network. So the conclusion for this part is that selling more cars will not restore profit. Lohmann had to take part in how people use cars, not only how they buy them. So Mr. will cover the third part, capability. Thank you.
Thank you, Bella. So the third question is whether Luhmann can actually respond to this change. So the data is sobering. So if it grows in more slowly and earning less than its rivals, and if it heavily outspend and the major car makers. So first, look at where customers now go. So across Europe, the share researching online before visiting a showroom rose from 80 to 91%. Comparing online model rose from 70 to 90%, and reading reviews from 65 to 85%. So in Netherlands, online car buying rose from 71 to 80%. So the decision has moved from the showroom to the screen, and Lohmann model was built around the showroom. So the scale of the challenge becomes clear here. In 2018, research and development spending was Volkswagen is 12.1 billion euro, Daimler 9.1, Toyota is 8, BMW is 7. So beside them, Luhmann's entire car business profit was effectively zero. So a single car maker spends far more on research alone than Luhmann earned in total. So this is not a race Luhmann can win by spending. Meanwhile, the opportunity keeps growing. The connected car market roughly tripled from 13 in 2012 to the forecast to 122.6 billion by 2021. While electric demand moved up and down, and tax policy, you can see here in 2015 is 10, 2016 is 6, then 3, and then 7% by 2018. And it is a large but unpredictable future, and no budget to pursue it alone. So, regulation added further pressure. The worldwide harmonized life vehicle test procedure rules made testing 3 to 4 times more complex and delay around 250,000 vehicles, straining cash flow. So the conclusion of this part is clear. Luhmann cannot win on its own resources, but it can succeed through the partnership to using Toyota electric and connected car platform rather than building its own. So my teammate Win-Win will close with our recommendations. Thank you.
So thank you, chị Thư and all my teammates for their sharing. So what should Lowman do? We have three recommendations for them, each one following directly from the evidence. First, for Wellsoft, review as a service-based business rather than the tender-driven one. The data support a very clear target, reduce the loss to profit ratio below 50%, and reach 30 million euros of annual profit within 2 years. Supported by the demographic demands we identified, this reflects Chuck's idea of returning to a stronger cause. Second, for the car business, move from being a dealer to providing mobility as a service. Develop Auto.nl into a subscription-based leasing platform, entering the usage-based model the data pointed to, in line with business model innovation thinking from McKinsey. Third, for the capability gap. Rather than trying to outspend the car makers, build capability through partnership. Develop a used car platform and electric service skill using Toyota's investment, applying dynamic capabilities and change management theory, including Kota. In conclusion, we began with a very simple puzzle. A company selling more but earning less. Following the data, we found three causes and three responses. Luhmann keeps the strengths that have lasted the 100 years, its legacy, its partnership, and now the support of demographic and market trends. If it's reviewed well done, moves toward mobility as a service, and partner rather than overspend, it can move from a traditional car distribution to a modern mobility provider and keep growing in changing market. Thank you.